Nerġaw għal darba oħra nsellmulkom u nirringrazzjawkom ta' rispons sabiħ il qed ikonna. Jiena Ġażet Ċappara flimkien mal-ħabiba tiegħi Beverley qed inwasslulkom dal-programm WOW fejn fih qed nagħmlu minn kollox biex inġelukom tifhmu u jien magħkom eżattament dis-sistema li għandna kif l-aħjar nittrattawha. Għaliex ħafna drabi neħdu affarijiet for granted sakemm jibda uġieħ. Jew sakemm jibda xi ħaġa jdejjaqna bħal bloating, konna l-istonkur ħossuh minn fuq, jew ħafna aċiditati l-għalejna. Illum li se nagħmlu huwa se nżidu naqra fuq dak li semmejna l-aħħar darba għax kellna ħafna minnkom li xtaqgħu ftit iktar informazzjoni fuq din l-idea ta' gluten, għaliex ikonna dal-ħruq, eccetera. U eżatt huwa dan it-topic illi se nippreżentaw illum. So, hello Beverley, thank you for being with us again. So, basically I am telling our audience that after last program, as you know, we had so many people writing about needing more information about this.
Okay.
We had started to talk about certain food that we take in, and which is very, very difficult for the system to somehow digest, to go from the gut, which we mentioned was the second brain, and having such an important function. You mentioned that at the end of last program, if I'm not mistaken, that 60% of all intake affects the immune system.
60% of the immune system is located in the gut, in the GI tract.
So, when you were talking about the GI tract, it's the tract that goes from the stomach to the...
Right the way through the small intestine, the large intestine, down to the rectum.
So, għattajdinna, il-60% tal-immune system jiġi affettwa direttament mill-gut. Let me repeat it so I'll make sure that I have understood it correctly. Is it 60% of the immune system that is in the gut and is affected by the gut?
Well, if the gut's leaking.
So, Mela.
So you can see on here.
Mela, emmek kanna l-musrana u l-musrana qed turina meta ikonna l-ikel illi minn flok ma jinżel kif għandu jinżel għaliex għandu fejn se jiffirex l-emmulaw. Qed isib parti illi hija miftuħa mill-musrana u allura joħroġ u jibda jaffettwa l-organi differenti. Can I ask, so the gut is not an organ?
It's a system.
It's a system, okay. So, you know why I'm asking, because I kept on thinking about, we had a diagram the other day, and which was showing like, you know, how the food is passed on. And the gut wasn't mentioned. So it is important to understand that there is a difference between the gut, between a system and an organ. Kif tafu l-aħħar darba tkellimna, u meta at one point kellna wkoll diagram, illi kienet juri kif jgħaddi l-ikel mis-sistema. U waħda mill-affarijiet illi baqgħet moħħi bdejt ngħid imma għaliex il-kelma gut mhijiex hemm. Għax ovvjament il-gut mhix organu, imma hija sistema ta' kif timxi biex nifhmu. Il-karozza hija oġġett, hija l-organu. It-traffiku u s-sistema. So I'm giving this, you know, sometimes some images come to mind because you inspire me with these images. So I just, you know, feel that they communicate more what we are saying. U allura li qed jiġri se nitlob lil Beverley issa tgħidilna allura kif eżattament din il-ħaġa tiġi il-musrana taffettwa daqstant l-immune system u s-sistema mbagħad kollha. So can you just go a little bit more in detail and specify how exactly is the gut affecting the immune system, okay, which 60% of it depends on it. And then how does this relate to the whole system?
I think, you know, we spoke about how the gut can leak.
Yes.
And I think if we've got a leaky gut, then obviously anything that's inside that gut is also leaking out. And it holds the 60% of the immune system, also holds good and bad bacteria known as the gut flora. So that's in there, the 60% of the immune system's in there, and the acid which breaks down food is in there. So if the gut is leaking, all of those things, and many, many more, are leaking out.
Mela, qed tibda biex tispjegalna kif fil-verità la darba aħna ikonna, mela aħna ħalli niftehmu. Maħniex qegħdin nitkellmu fuq il-pubbliku ġenerali, qegħdin nitkellmu fuq sintomi illi ċerti nies ikollhom. Jien pereżempju l-aħħar darba semmejtilha illi ġieli inħossni nikol xi ħaġa nħossni nintnefaħ, jew kellha jkolli ħruq ta' stonku. U Beverley qed tindirizza bħalissa dawn it-tip ta' sintomi l-istess kif bdiet tindirizza l-aħħar darba meta jkollna nies li jbatu minn ċerta ansjetà, minn ċerta biżgħat, minn ċerta depressjonijiet, u kif dawn jiġu kollha affettwati direttament mill-gatt. L-immune system, iġifieri s-sistema li l-inna iżżomna bilanċata u li l-inna itħallina dejjem, tibatinna dejjem il-messaġġi fl-organi kollha tal-ġisem biex inkunu fl-aħjar sistema li aħna. Jekk il-gatt il-musrana hija leaky, hija qed tarmi likwidi minna, is-sistema se tbati. U allura huwa hawnhekk propju fejn qed tgħidilna illi jekk aħna qegħdin niklu ċerti affarijiet bħal huma affarijiet ta' deri, bħal huma affarijiet ta' gluten, illi għandna lista naqra fihom daw bħal mija l-ħmira, bħal l-ħafur jew oats, bħal l-ispelt, bħal x-xajr jew il-barley, bħal huma l-oven chips li fihom ħafna minn dawn l-ingredjenti. Hemmhekk li qed jiġri u li qed jiġri u hekk ngħidu mort ħadd pizza. U ordnajt milkshake mal-pizza. Il-milkshake jekk ġej minn prodott tal-annimal, ta' ħalib tal-annimal, għax hemm ħalib ieħor, coconut milk, almond milk, etc. Issa tkellimna fuqhom. Imma jekk jien qed nieħu pizza beħmira u qed nieħu wkoll mija mal-pizza qed nieħu wkoll il-ħalib, milkshake, mela jiena 99% se jkolli ħruq ta' stonku għaliex bil-mod ta' kif jgħaddi se joħloq ħafna gass. So, can you explain, like, so I have often heard this being said that if you are taking like pizza, yes, you know there's already wheat, and not everybody is wheat tolerant. Now, adding insult to injury, if I'm not wheat tolerant and I take a milkshake, why? What happens to the system? Why does so much gas result? And you know, sometimes you feel like you're so bloated and like you have all this.
You may take a heart attack.
Yeah, it's true. Sometimes it's that bad, isn't it? Yeah. Why?
Okay, so it's important to know that gluten. Wheat is part of gluten, it's got gluten in it. So gluten and casein, which comes from the breast milk products that come from an animal, so animal breast milk products contain casein. And gluten is in many different foods, including bread, pizza, the outside coating of nuggets, so on and so forth, many, many grains. So if you take gluten and you take casein in dairy, both of them require, when you eat them, they release a gas called a peptide, and they require an enzyme called DPP4. They both require the same enzyme. So if you had both of them together and you eat that, that's a lot of requirement for DPP4 at once.
Okay.
If you don't have any, or you have a small amount, that's a lot of food that's not being digested.
So basically, if I give this kind of analogy, see if it makes sense. It's just like me talking and eating at the same time. And the breathing cannot, and the stomach cannot, you know, the system cannot take these two together.
What it's like is if you were to leave food on a plate in August
Yes.
in Malta on a worktop
Okay.
for a month.
Yes.
All right, you know what's going to happen to that. It's going to decompose.
Yes.
It's going to putrefy.
Yes.
It's going to turn into a gas, liquid. It's going to smell noxious.
Yes.
Because that's the gases coming out of it, and it's going to be very toxic. All right.
Okay.
That's because you didn't clean it up. If you do not digest, metabolize the food you eat, you're not cleaning it up, you're not moving it, and so it's putrefying. It's decomposing.
Okay.
It's converting into a gas, which is rising and pushing everything up, which is why sometimes it feels like, you know, you may take a heart attack or a panic, you know,
Yeah, okay.
because everything's being pushed up with
All
gas.
right. Mela, li qed tgħidilna huwa illi meta aħna nkunu qegħdin nieklu dawn l-affarijiet, illi l-ġisem tagħna li mhux ta' kulħadd huwa l-istess. Illi l-ġisem tagħna ikun qed juri sintomi kif qed insemmu ta' bloatiness, ta' ħruq ta' stonku kbir, ta' kultant li jaqbadni attak taf kif ejja ħannestu ħammorru lem għax qed niddejja għax bajt ta' xejjejt. U tinduna inti li hui x'qed għadi mhux soltu fil qegħdin nitkellmu bil-mod u intu wkoll tibda tirrealizza fik innifsek li dawn l-affarijiet mhumiex xi ħaġa li kienu normali fik. Li jkun qed jiġri hu illi l-eżempju li tagħtu ejja ngħidu aħna fit-temp ta' Malta f'Awwissu dik ix-xemx taħraq. Ikontna li kellu nħalluh barra. X'jiġri mill-ikel? Jekk tħallih jumej barra, jibda jiddekompozja, jibda jinten, jibda jimmoffa u ma tistax tiklu dak trid tarmih. Jekk insa titfikel ieħor fuqu, se jiġri. Inti se jballenak. Immaġina l-istess ħaġa qed tiġri fis-sistema tagħna meta aħna qegħdin niklu. U allura nkunu il-ġisem ikun qed jieħu ingredjenti li ma jiflaħx għalihom biex jiddiġestihom flimkien għaliex jekk għandek pereżempju ħmira u dairy product f'daqqa waħda u inti il-ġisem tiegħek m'għandux biżżejjed enzymes għalihom, m'għandux biżżejjed biex jiġġilidhom, allura li se jiġri hu illi l-istess bħal platta li qed isir immuffat, dak kollu se jispiċċa hemm. U jibda inawwar il-musrana. Il-musrana tibda tillikja, dak li kell immuffat se jgħaddi minna, m'għandux fejn jiġi ippurifikat u jibda jinfirex kullimkien mal-ġisem kollu. U li jiġri hu meta ħanerġa' niekol, għax aħna niklu regolari, jerġa' l-ikel mar fuq dak li hemm. U jimmoffa iżjed u jiddeġenera iżjed u jitfa' ħafna iktar imbarazz u eżatt meta l-ikel ma jmurx fejn suppost għandu jmur, x'jiġri jiġi attakkat u immedjatament ikonna infjammazzjoni. U l-infjammazzjoni tibda tikber u tiżviluppa f'partijiet differenti tal-ġisem. So once this happens, that is then why the immune system starts to degenerate, is it?
It's just not doing its job. You know, it's not allowed. The environment, once the gut starts to leak, the environment inside is a bit chaotic, you know, to say the least. So, you know, you can see symptoms such as very obvious, you've just explained them, bloating, gas, constipation, or IBS, going many times in the day. Depression, anxiety, these are symptoms from one end of the scale to another, because everyone's different, and in combinations that are different, that you would notice. You might not associate them with the food you're eating or with leaky gut, but these are symptoms we can notice. There are silent symptoms. One of them is the immune system. So you don't hear or feel that your immune system is low. You won't know that until you get sick and you don't recover quickly. Okay. Or you're constantly in a state of runny nose, running eyes, chronic fatigue, feeling very tired. You know, one of the things I think is very important to understand is when your body gets in that state, particularly if you've got depression, cortisols, which is a stress hormone, are affected, and your body moves into what's known as a sympathetic status in order to deal with the problem at hand, you know, whatever you're stressing about. It conserves energy and takes that energy away from your digestive system, all right? Okay. So this is where low immune system is. So remember, the immune system predominantly is in the stomach, all right? Okay. And so if you're in a state of shock, a state of anxiety, then your sympathetic nervous system is dominant, and it's going to take the energy away from your digestive system. Oh. So that's away from your immune system. And so the immune system then gets more and more affected. That's why gut, brain, bowel, axis, they are the traffic lights.
Okay.
All right?
That's a lot for me, yeah?
Very important. And we need to go into this in great detail, because as people start to understand more, for example, this week, you either go to the toilet 14, 15 times a day, or maybe once a week. Both of those is not normal. It's not good. Okay. All right? So there's a symptom. Now, maybe if you're suffering from that, the first thing you do with this information is try to reduce your dairy, reduce your gluten. And see if these symptoms
persist.
Or maybe they're just going to reduce a bit. Maybe instead of going once every 5 days, you go once every 3 days. Yes. This is an improvement.
Yes.
Instead of 10 times a day, maybe you go 5 times a day.
So it's important that we actually keep track of what is happening to our body.
Whatever you put in has got to come out.
Yeah. All right. Mela, ħanibda minn tal-aħħar li qaltilna illi dak kollu li aħna nieħdu irid jitlaq minn ximkien. Issa, jew se jitlaq b'sistema illi jekk għandna il-gatt, il-musrana, għandna li jaffettwa il-moħħ u jaffettwa l-imsaren li jkunu qegħdin bilanċati, allura m'għandix problemi. Imma jekk is-sintomi qed juru illi jkollok jew nieħrek aktar spiss, jew għajnek qatru spiss, jew inkella illi tħossok bloated, jew tħossok depressed, jew mood swings qawwin, dik hija indikazzjoni illi ħoj hemm xi ħaġa x'imkien li qed tgħidlek hello, hu ħsiebi, you know, għaliex hemm xi ħaġa mhix daqshekk tajba. L-importanti nifhmu illi aħna mhux biss nagħtu każ difrejna u xarna u x'nilbsu, imma importanti ħafna li naraw ġewwa li nkunu konxi ta' x'qed jiġri minn ġewwa. Mela, meta jien staqsejta dwar isma' imma allura kif jiġi affettwat l-immune system. Spjegat illi jekk l-immune system mhuwiex qed isib ambjent tajjeb, l-ambjent qiegħed kollu kontrih, m'għandux forza biżżejjed għalih. Allura li qed jiġri huwa illi importanti li malli aħna nħossu xi ħaġa minn dawn is-sintomi li rridu nagħmlu ngħidu isma' ħalli innaqqas ftit mill-affarijiet tad-deri, ħalli nnaqqas naqra il-gluten u nara x'jiġri. Għaliex pereżempju jekk jiena persuna illi nidħol 14-16 darba t-toilet f'ġurnata, jew bil-kontra. Jiena persuna illi isma' nuża toilet darba kull 5 ijiem, kull ġimgħa. Jibda naqqas ftit minn dawn illi qegħdin ngħidu. Għaliex aħna inutli nparlaw biss. Huwa importanti nkunu nafu x'nistgħu nagħmlu biex ngħinu lil nfusna. Naqqas milli tikol affarijiet ta' gluten, milli tieħu deri. Naqqas mit-zokkor, mill-affarijiet li huma ħelwin. Żid naqra exercise, naqra passiġġati, jew tagħmel eżerċizzju li tħobb. U mbagħad inti se tinduna illi ibdara x'qed jiġri fil-fiżiku tiegħek. Ara, qed immur inqas biss fit-toilet, qed immur flok minn daqshekk konstipata qed inħossna ħafna iktar aħjar għax flok kull ġimgħa qed immur kull tliet ijiem. Progress. Irreġistra dak il-progress għaliex xi ħaġa qed toħolqu. Għax kif qaltilna dak li jidħol irid joħroġ. Jekk mhux qed joħroġ qed imarrad. Qed joħloq infjammazzjonijiet, qed joħloq uġigħ, qed joħloq jaffettwana fis-sistema emozjonali tagħna, fil-mod ta' kif naħsbu, ta' kif nirraġunaw, ta' kif l-affarijiet ta' madwarna jaffettwana. U daw se jibqgħu għaddejjin, eżiż. Allura huwa importanti ħafna illi nkunu konxi ta' dak illi qed nikkonsmaw. Se nifqu għal ftit tar-reklami ibqgħu magħna għaliex fl-jmiss se nagħtu ħafna iktar tarif dwar kif nistgħu ninġabru minn dal is-sistema illi lilna tkun mbagħad ħakmitna u ma nkunux nafu kif għandna nistgħu nirpiljaw minnha. Ibqgħu magħna. Mela, rġajna ma'kom hawnhekk u għal dawk li għadhom kif inaqdu magħna issa jiena u l-ħabiba tiegħi Beverley Rimmer qegħdin hawnhekk biex flimkien intukom naqra ta' tarif u ta' sistemi ta' kif nistgħu neħdu ħsieb ħafna aktar ta' nfusna. U llum konna qegħdin nitkellmu fuq l-effett qawwi illi għandha il-musrana f'dik li hija il-moħħ u wkoll l-imsaren u kif dawn flimkien jaffettwaw is-sistema kollha tagħna. Semmejna però għadna ma tħannix daqshekk fid-dettall tagħhom imma qed insemmu kif meta aħna nikkonsmaw nieħdu ċertu ikel bħal huwa ħmira, bħal mija huwa l-ħafur, pereżempju l-oats, l-ispelt, il-barley jew ix-xejr, jew oven chips, jew il-coatings ta' pereżempju chicken nuggets u affarijiet hekk, dawn ħafna drabi ikollhom effett fis-sistema tagħna illi allura jaffettwaw il-musrana illi bil-mod, bl-ammont ta' imbarazz illi ikun fihom joħolqulna problemi u nibdew nħossu sintomi bħalmu kważi toħta nifs, paniku, ansjetà, depressjoni, inħossuna ħruq ta' stonku kbir u għandna qegħdin propju nindirizzaw illum dawn it-tip ta' sintomi biex nevitawhom kemm jista' jkun. U tkellimna ħafna fuq kif anka s-sistema l-immune system li jiġi affettwat minħabba illi 60%, 60% tal-immune system irrid jiddilja, jrid jaħdem mal-gatt, ma' dan, mal-musrana u ma' dak kollu li għaddim minnu biex ikun jista' jgħinu. Imma jekk l-environment, jekk dak illi qed issib l-immune system huwa imbuffat, huwa dekadenti, huwa ħażin, ma tantx jista' jibqa' jkollu dik il-forza illi normalment ikollu biex jgħinna. So, hi Beverley. So we're going to move on now to something which I feel that is very important for us to understand. So yes, all of this, mela da kollu li qed insemmu joħloq il-kawża li hija leaky gut, li hija musrana li tkun qed tillika li tkun qed terħi minnha nnifisha ċertu materjal li joħloq fjammazzjonijiet u mart. So, assuming I am one of those people who at times, yes, I do have bloating and yes, I do have these heartburns. Ikolli dan jena nejta li ġili kolli għed il-bloatiness u jkolli u koll del-ħruq ta' stonku. What can be done to seal the gut? And can such conditions be reversed?
Okay, so leaky gut, once it's leaking, is classified as an autoimmune disorder. Okay, it's just like diabetes is an autoimmune disorder. Leaky gut is an autoimmune disorder.
So, għattajdinna hawnhekk, illi jekk aħna qed imbagħtu minn dawn l-affarijiet, dawk għaw taħt il-kategorija ta' autoimmune disorder, ta' disordni ta' sistema autoimmunitarja. Iġifieri, l-istess bħalma jiġri meta jkollna diabete, eccetera. So, għalhekk qed ngħidu kemm huwa importanti li nifhmu li leaky gut irridu nittrattawha b'mod serju. We need to deal with this leaky gut in a very serious manner.
Absolutely, and you know, I think when we look at the gut itself, and it's called permeability, so how much it leaks, like a tea bag. So it's not big holes, these are more perforations. The tight junctions have opened. So how do we tighten them up? You know, it's a key factor. Number one is whatever is triggering leaky gut, you need to stop doing that. So if it is gluten and it is dairy and you stop consuming it, you'll stop making it worse.
So what we are saying here is that once we do have, you know, these symptoms, what we need to do to reverse the situation is that, ara jena, qed nerġa' nitkellem bl-Ingliż, skużawni, kultant nitfixkel, mela. Li għandna għax qed nifhem x'qed tgħidhi u qed nittranslejtja u kultant ninqabad nerġa' nibqa' bl-istess lingwa. Mela, li qed tgħidilna hawnhekk importanti ħafna Beverley huwa illi il-musrana jekk hija il-musrana mhijiex qed tieħu l-affarijiet kif għandhom ikunu purifikati notfa, se timrad u se toħroġ u se tibda tillikja. Issa, il-biċċajja din illi dawn l-autoimmune diseases illi għandna iridu jsibu sistema ta' kif huma jistgħu jerġgħu ifiequ. U biex l-ewwel pass illi jrid jiġri huwa illi nibdew naraw ftit neliminaw mis-sistema ngħidu ara meta qed innaqqas il-ħobs qed ninduna li inħossni tajba. Mela dik taf tkun fattur illi lili se jgħinni biex ma nibqax daqshekk konstipata, biex ma nħossniex daqshekk bloated. Għaliex? Għax il-musran għandha l-effett ta' tea bag. Inti kollok it-tea bag nixfa. Ma li inti se titfaħħa fl-ilma se jiġrila tintefaħ u terħi. U l-istess jiġrila l-musrana. Jekk qed tieħu xi ħaġa illi hija aċċessiva lija li l-musrana ma tiflaħx għaliha, l-istess bħat-tea bag se tneffaħ u se tillikja u se tibda tippressa fuq il-musrana b'mod illi mbagħad tibda tillikja. Malli tibda tillikja se nibdew nimerdu. Mela jekk jiena il-kawża tagħha hija l-gluten, mela jien biex qed inkompli nżida għada pittada għax qed innaqqas ħafna ingredienti tal-gluten jew tad-dairy u allura ma tibqax tikber din in-nefħa imma l-inqas tkun contained, limitata kif inhi u meta jiena nibda naqta kważi għal kollox għax minix qed inħossni daqshekk ħażin, di terġa' tibda issib li l-nifisa lura. I love your face, eh? When you're looking at me in that way, it means that I'm either saying something really out of context or that you are following what I am saying. Which one is it?
I'm following what you're saying just now.
So actually I'm giving, because I like the idea of the tea bag that you gave. And I am explaining that once the gut is getting something that's not good for it, it's having the effect of the tea bag. Now, the tea bag grows, you know, and it leaks. Now, the minute that we take more of the same in, the bigger it grows and the worse it gets.
Yep.
The minute we start to control the intake of whatever is gluten or whatever is sugary or whatever is dairy, then it will not grow, and that which doesn't grow is getting smaller, yes?
It is, and the problem is, whilst certain foods can trigger leaky gut, once leaky gut is there, any food that you consume is going to leak out. So this is why it is an autoimmune disorder. So we have to really, one, cut off the damage. That's really thinking about food elimination and seeing if that eases your symptoms.
So the number one is always food.
Food elimination.
So l-ewwel ħaġa li rridu nagħmlu x'inhi ma nistax ngħid jiena x'inhi ma ngħix bla ħobs. Mela għex bil-ħobs u ibqa' bl-ansjetà. Jew għex bil-ħobs u ibqa' bil-ħruq ta' stonku. Qed tifhmuni x'qed ngħidu, jiġifieri dana you can't get the best out of both worlds, we say.
No, and anyone that joins the group, the Facebook group, you can click on files and download a food and mood diary, and it is incredible. People write down what they're eating and then they score their mood, and there is they can see the correlation, and then the bowel movements that they have. So you know, it's really good to keep a bit of a record so you can see it yourself.
Okay, so mela qed tgħidilna hawnhekk kemm huwa wkoll faċli li intom bħala telespettaturi issegwu wkoll il-Facebook page. Is it a Facebook page?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
A group, Facebook group.
It's a Facebook group of Waves of Wellness. Waves of Wellness.live. U meta segwa se ssibu wkoll illi hemm nies illi u tajjeb illi anke aħna nżommu dar rekord illi jkunu qegħdin jiktbu is-sintomi li għandhom huma u x'qed jeliminaw. Jekk mhux se telimina inutli m'għandikx ċans illi inti aħna qedniha kemm il-darba anke fit-talks li nagħmel jien ma' Karl. Jekk inti tagħmel dak li dejjem għamilt, ir-riżultat se jkun dejjem l-istess. If you do what you've always done, you will always get what you always got. So, importanti mela daw qed jgħidu is-sintomi tagħhom, what they are eliminating, dak li qed ineħħu mis-sistema ta' ikel tagħhom u ir-riżultat tagħhom x'qed ikun f'dak li huwa jekk hija huma kienu jbatu minn konstipazzjoni, jekk kienu qed ibatu minn ansjetà, jekk kienu qed ibatu minn ruq ta' stonku. U intom tistgħu wkoll iżommu l-istess tip ta' djarju biex intom magħhom tingħaqdu ma' dal-grupp u tkunu wkoll tistgħu taqsmu u titgħallmu u jkollkom iżjed informazzjoni kif intom tistgħu tirranġaw is-sistema tagħkom. U bekk tkunu tistgħu iżjed tissaħħu f'dan l-ambjent illi mhuwiex san fis-sistema. U taraw illi jkun hemm kambjament enormi. Mela, can I put on another question, or is there something else that you want to amplify?
What I was going to say is, I think it's really important that when people are looking to feel better and start to stop the damage of the gut, then they need to start stabilizing it. And one of the things that's very easy to do to stabilize the gut is a live good bacteria, because your stomach has good and bad bacteria in it, needs both. So to get a good live bacteria in there can really help to calm the environment and stabilize the GI tract. And one of the ones that I really recommend, I've been using them for over 25 years, is BioCult. BioCult is very good for doing that. It's got billions and billions of good bacteria in it. And so taking one a day is most helpful. At the moment, I've been very fortunate to be able to source BioCult Boosted, which is not in Malta yet. It arrives at the end of this week. And BioCult Boosted is for the immune system, the good bacteria, and digestion in one. And it is changing the way the environment inside the gut is balanced, and the speed, and it's simple. It's one teeny tiny capsule of billions of good bacteria every day.
Okay. Mela, bażikament qed tgħidilna li mela aħna għedna l-ewwel mod ta' kif aħna nistgħu nerġgħu insibu saħħitna f'dik li hija sistema, għedna illi rridu neliminaw dak l-ikel illi l-inna qed jagħmlilna ħsara. It-tieni mod huwa illi biex nistabbilizzaw u nerġa' jkollna il-musrana b'saħħitha huwa illi ngħinuha bakterja tajba. Il-ġisem għandu bżonn ta' ċerta bakterja illi tkun tajba biex tgħinek timxi l-qudiem jew inkella titfek lura. Issa, meta aħna qed nieħdu bakterja tajba, l-effett tagħha se jkun illi jikkalma l-ambjent bħal meta qed innatfu l-kamra. You know, għandek garaġ miml-imbarazz u se tagħmel mela mhux tiknes biss trid tarmi. Wara li tarmi mhux titfal ilma biss trid taħsel u tqaxxar dak li jkun hemm. U ħafna drabi nużaw ċertu affarijiet illi jridu jaqilgħu il-ħmieġ. U waħda minn dawn l-affarijiet li taqla l-ħmieġ hija il-good bacteria. U mbagħad permezz tagħha l-ambjent se jkun aħjar, il-garaġ se jkun f'post tajjeb u inti tista' terġa' tibda tipplejsja l-affarijiet f'posthom. And once, la darba li mbagħad ikonna dil-bakterja tajba, fil-ġisem, għax intajt il-paragun tal-garaġ, fil-ġisem li jiġri illi l-musrana terġa' tistabbilixxi ruħha u terġa' tibda ssaħħaħ lilha nnifisha. Għaliex issa l-immune system qed isib x'jista' jsaħħaħ, mhux qed jerġa' jsib is-60% tiegħu, is-60% tal-immune system mhux qed isib issa iktar ħmieġ u mbarazz, imma qed isib ambjent ta' san u tajjeb. U allura se jerġa' jgħin iktar biex dak li qegħdin niklu permezz ta' dil-bakterja li qed tgħidilna li tgħin ħafna l-immune system u tistabbilixxi it-trakt ta' fejn jgħaddi l-ikel biex ikun iżjed nadif u jista' jiġi maffeċ tajjeb mis-sistema tagħna, imbagħad jekk semmit xi ħaġa illi wieħed jista' jieħu kuljum li huwa l-BioCult u qed tgħid illi din hija xi ħaġa illi meta aħna qegħdin neħduha regolari l-ammont ta' bakterja tajba illi aħna qegħdin nagħtu lil ġisimna qed tgħin lill-musrana biex ikonna sistema li tkun b'saħħitha u li tkun digestibbli ħafna. Mela, wasanna fit-tmiem tal-programm tagħna, però nitolbukom biex il-ġimgħa d-dieħla tibqgħu magħna għax se nidħlu fid-dettall fuq ir-relazzjoni importanti li hemm bejn il-gatt, il-brain u l-bowel, il-musrana, il-moħħ u l-imsaren. Kunu magħna għal aktar programmi importanti fil-waqt li nsellminkom jiena Ġożef Ċappara u Beverley ngħidilkom saħħa u slim. Wow!